If the First Lady wasn't in great shape, she would have fallen. But she's in great shape. We're both in good shape. We both stood.
If you listen to MAGA World and those that Donald Trump who are sufficiently loyal that he's placed around him, you'd think that Donald Trump does everything as a selfless action to better the state of the country. You'd also be very stupid. Because Donald Trump in no way does anything that isn't going to better his position financially or relative to the amount of power he's able to claim for himself. This is self-evident. All of the claims that he donates all of his salary, he's doing this for free, are lies. Donald Trump has inexorably increased his wealth, his net worth through the presidency. This time, more than ever, even in the first time. It was paltry in the first term compared to what he's doing now with the crypto scams and the perfume and the phones and the shoes and the trading cards and the name a grift that Donald Trump isn't involved in. So it's interesting. He's at the UN right now giving a speech. In this very moment, he's speaking. I've got 4 clips for you that really go to the heart of Donald Trump not giving a shit about the country, not trying to better the position diplomatically or security-wise or financially for the country. He's not worried about any of that. He's there to air his grievances, to whine and complain about how he's not appreciated. I've ended 7 unendable wars, which is where we're going to start. Donald Trump asserts to MAGA World that he's some kind of a deity, some kind of a god. You know, the question, what happens when an immovable object comes in contact with an irresistible force? Oh, the paradox of paradoxes. So Donald Trump is claiming to have ended unendable wars. We'll start here.
Likewise, in a period of just 7 months, I have ended 7 unendable wars. They said they were unendable. You're never going to get them solved. Some were going for 31 years, 2 of them, 31, think of it, 31 years. One was 36 years. One was 28 years. I ended 7 wars.
Obviously, I don't think it needs to be said he has done nothing of the sort. But all of that goes to this, that he wants to impress upon them. He wants to whine to them. He wants to complain to the United Nations. Nobody's given me the Nobel Peace Prize.
Now, after ending all of these wars and also earlier negotiating the Abraham Accords, which is a very big thing for which our country received no credit, never receives credit. Everyone says that I should get the Nobel Peace Prize for each one of these achievements. But for me, the real prize will be the sons and daughters who live to grow up with their mothers and fathers, because millions of people are no longer being killed in endless and unglorious wars.
Everyone says I should get the Nobel Peace Prize. Who's saying that other than the absolute lapdogs that you've placed around you? Donald Trump. Nobody thinks you deserve the Nobel Peace Prize. You've brought peace to no locale. You stoke the fires of domestic terrorism and political violence. You have nothing to do with peace or peacefulness. The complainathon continued. Here, apparently, his prompter started malfunctioning, and you know Donald Trump, as much as he talks about people who are weak when they use a prompter, now is just prompter guy, and he can't even read. He's an elementary school level reader, so when the prompter breaks, it's a problem. But he doesn't just whine about the prompter. He goes back in time to when apparently there was an escalator malfunction. Who knows what's true with Donald Trump? I mean, we can just assume it's all lies or exaggerations at the very least. But here he is complaining in the main chamber of the United Nations, complaining about escalators and teleprompters as the president of the United States of America.
Got from the United Nations was an escalator that on the way up stopped right in the middle. If the First Lady wasn't in great shape, she would have fallen. But she's in great shape. We're both in good shape. We both stood. And then a teleprompter that didn't work. These are the two things I got from the United Nations, a bad escalator and a bad teleprompter. Thank you very much. And by the way, it's working now. It just went on. Thank you. I think I should just do it the other way. It's easier.
He's acting as though he's telling a tale, giving an anecdote at a party to somebody. Oh, this one time the escalator, da-da-da-da. You're in the General Assembly of the United Nations, whining about the teleprompter and the escalators. You know you're president, right? You should look around and understand that not every yokel gets to take the podium there in the General Assembly, Donald Trump. This, though, I saved the best for last. Yum, 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 yum. Chef's kiss of jackassery from Donald Trump. Here he is whining that he didn't get the contract to renovate, to remodel the United Nations. Some other contractor got the job, and apparently it's stuck in Donald Trump's craw for all of these years, because here he is, the airing of grievance, the whine fest, the complain-a-thon, that he didn't get that contract. And it would have been so good. The tiles would have been, I'm low energy Jeb. He can barely keep his eyes open. It is nap time for Grandpa, but watch him embarrass the United States of America, embarrass us on a national, international stage as he complains about not getting work from decades ago.
Many years ago, a very successful real estate developer in New York, known as Donald J. Trump, I bid on the renovation and rebuilding of this very United Nations complex. I remember it so well. I said at the time that I would do it for $500 million, rebuilding everything. It would be beautiful. I used to talk about, I'm going to give you marble floors. They're going to give you terrazzo. I'm going to give you the best of everything. You're going to have mahogany walls. They're going to give you plastic. But they decided to go in another direction, which was much more expensive at the time, and which actually produced a far inferior product. And I realized that they did not know what they were doing when it came to construction, and that their building concepts were so wrong, and the product that they were proposing to build was so bad and so costly. It was going to cost them a fortune. And I said, and wait till you see the overruns. Well, I turned out to be right. They had massive cost overruns and spent between $2 and $4 billion on the building and did not even get the marble floors that I promised them. You walk on terrazzo. Do you notice that? As far as I'm concerned, frankly, looking at the building and getting stuck on the escalator, they still haven't finished the job. They still haven't finished. That was years ago.
What relevance does this have to anything? How does this better the position of the United States of America economically, militarily, diplomatically? The answer is it does not. It moves the needle not. If anything, it diminishes our stature on a global stage. We are a punchline in the world because of Donald Trump. Because MAGA world, there were a sufficient number of voters based on our anti-democratic electoral college system. There were a sufficient number of voters to get Donald Trump over the line, over the mark, to become president. Embarrassing, disgusting, dangerous.
And even the president's Department of Justice, even Kash Patel's FBI looked into this.
Even Kash Patel looked into this and said Tom Homan did nothing wrong. I recently covered this story in greater length, and I'm going to cover it today. Tom Homan apparently is caught on video accepting a $50,000 cash bribe from undercover FBI agents. And I want to show you here the proof that it's true. And the proof that it's true comes from the misalignment, the unalignment, the out of alignment statements between Karoline Leavitt and Tom Homan himself. She's saying something completely different than Tom Homan. Before I do that, though, let me remind you of exactly what is at stake here and what this story is about. Here's a headline from MSNBC. Tom Homan was investigated for accepting $50,000 from undercover FBI agents. Trump's DOJ shut it down. The FBI and justice officials closed the investigation, which a Justice Department appointee had called a deep state probe in early 2025. In an undercover operation last year, the FBI recorded Tom Homan, now the White House border czar, accepting $50,000 in cash after indicating he could help the agents who were posing as business executives win government contracts in a second Trump administration, according to multiple people familiar with the probe and internal documents reviewed by MSNBC. And you might be asking yourself, well, how'd they even find out that this was happening? He's claiming, or she is claiming entrapment, Karoline Leavitt. I'm sure the administration would love to go along with that line, but it didn't come out of nowhere. This wasn't just like, hey, let's go get Tom Homan. This is from the article. The federal investigation was launched in Western Texas in the summer of 2024 after a subject in a separate investigation claimed Homan was soliciting payments in exchange for awarding contracts should Trump win the presidential election, according to an internal Justice Department summary of the probe reviewed by MSNBC and people familiar with the case. So that's where we are. That's the lay of the land, just to give you some insight if you weren't privy to what I think are the most important details here. I'll say again, I stated it in an earlier video, that we need some intrepid patriot within the Department of Justice or the FBI who has access to this video to release it. We need the world to see the kind of cronyism and corruption that is on display by the Trump administration on a daily basis, but this really smacks of just illegality. But not if you ask Karoline Leavitt. Karoline Leavitt was asked about this investigation, and she attacks the reporter, of course. Get your facts straight. You get your facts straight. But also just denies outright that he took the money, which is a completely different thing than he's saying. Let's start with the spokesperson for the President of the United States of America, Karoline Leavitt.
Sure. Thanks, Caroline. So too on the Homan investigation, I mean, can you just speak to, did the President ask the Justice Department to close the case, and does Homan have to return the $50,000?
Well, Mr. Homan never took the $50,000 that you're referring to, so you should get your facts straight, number one. Number two, this was another example of the weaponization of the Biden Department of Justice against one of President Trump's strongest and most vocal supporters in the midst of a presidential campaign. You had FBI agents going undercover to try and entrap one of the president's top allies and supporters, someone who they knew very well would be taking a government position months later. Mr. Homan did absolutely nothing wrong, and even the President's Department of Justice, even Kash Patel's FBI, looked into this just to make sure. They had a number of different prosecutors and FBI agents who looked into this. They found zero evidence of illegal activity or criminal wrongdoing. In the White House and the President stand by Tom Homan 100% because he did absolutely nothing wrong, and he is a brave public servant who has done a phenomenal job in helping the President shut down the border. Mary.
Even Kash Patel, even stalwart law enforcement agent who certainly wouldn't try to cover up for vile, sickening, vicious crimes against the most innocent people among us, children. He wouldn't do anything like that. Even Kash Patel looked into this and said Tom Homan did nothing wrong. Come on, man. Nobody believes that bullshit. Karoline Leavitt. I love it, though. He never took the $50,000. Get your facts straight, she screams. Get them straight. To Donald Trump and this administration, accountability is entrapment. It's weaponization. They got a tip. Hey, look, he's soliciting bribes. He's asking for money to steer contracts in a certain direction to companies that give him the money. So you should look into that. They look into it. They set a sting with undercover agents. He takes the money, and it's weaponization. How dare you hold him accountable for bribes and corruption? Yeah. But the seminal point there, the most important point is she says the line from the White House, the line from this administration, from Donald Trump himself, through Karoline Leavitt, is he did not accept the $50,000. Get your facts straight, she says. He did not accept it. Except last night, Tom Homan, the mush-mouthed dildo with ears, was on with Laura Ingraham on Fox News, and she gave him a full opportunity to set the record straight. And you know what he doesn't say? He says a whole bunch of stuff, but the one thing he doesn't say is, I did not take the money. I did not accept $50,000 in cash in a bag. He doesn't say that. He says, I did nothing wrong and I committed no crime, but he does not explicitly say, I didn't take the money. That's notable. Oftentimes you can learn more from what someone doesn't say or what they refuse to say than what they actually say. Watch Tom Homan diverge from the line that the White House has set.
Tom, I want to give you a chance to address this article that came out over the weekend, and it was on our always reliable MSNBC, and they said that you took $50,000 in cash in a bag from an undercover FBI agent to help them win government contracts in Trump's second term. The DOJ said they concluded there was no criminal wrongdoing, but nevertheless, that story is out there, and I imagine you want to respond to that.
Oh, I'm sorry. Look, I did nothing criminal. I did nothing illegal. And it's hit piece after hit piece after hit piece. And I'm glad the FBI and DOJ came out and said, said that nothing illegal happened and nothing, no criminal activity. You're talking about a guy who spent 34 years enforcing the law. I mean, I left a very successful business that I ran to come back and work for a government again. I'm back on a government paycheck. Not only did I sacrifice my family sacrifices, I make sacrifices every day. I got more death threats than anybody. I got a security team around me, but guess what? My kids don't, my wife don't. I mean, I haven't lived with my wife in months because I don't want her to be here right now with all the threats. So after all the sacrifices, after serving my nation for all these years, they want to come out and dirty me up. And it's not going to end. There's a hit piece on me every 2 weeks. But keep coming, because you know what? Tom Homan isn't going anywhere. Tom Homan isn't shutting up. And Tom Homan's going to keep doing what he's doing, because working with President Trump's the greatest honor of my life. We're making this country safer again every day, and we're going to keep doing it.
I did nothing criminal. I did nothing illegal. But did you take the money? Did you accept the bag of $50,000 in cash, the kava bag, the fast casual food bag filled with money, greasy, corrupt money, dildo with ears? Did you take it? I did nothing criminal. I did nothing illegal. I did nothing wrong. Yeah, but did you take the money? I did nothing illegal, I told you. Nothing wrong was done. Yeah, but did you take the money, Tom Homan? Did you think it was for your good looks, brother? Did you think it was because you can't speak? He's like speaking Klingon every time he opens his goddamn mouth.
Just saying to Bobby and the group, let's do it now. Nothing bad can happen. It can only good happen. But with Tylenol, don't take it. Don't take it.
You know what is so funny to me? It is so telling. It's just everything's a little on the nose with the Donald Trump administration. It's about projection. It's about telling a lie as many times as you can, as big as it can be, so that MAGA world and the uninitiated, the low information rubes, the unwashed horde of MAGA people will believe it. He even has the stupid hat. Trump was right about everything, in an effort to convince people that he has some secret knowledge or understanding or intellect that other people don't have. Yesterday, he gave a wild press conference in the White House, maligning Tylenol, acetaminophen, as a drug for women who are pregnant, because apparently RFK, and I say this as tongue-in-cheek as I can, it causes autism. No evidence. They provided no evidence. Nothing. They just say it. And for me, and I'll say this as an aside, because I want to look into this, it seems to me somebody's going to be profiting from the people who don't take Tylenol anymore and whatever drug they're now promoting, what other alternative they're going to be promoting. Somebody's going to be making money hand over fist. But this video is really about the dumbest dumb fuck who ever dumb fucked Donald Trump. No need to bleep that, Chris. Because Donald Trump is the dumbest dumb fuck who ever dumb fucked. Of all the dumb fucks who dumb fucked, Donald Trump dumb fucked the hardest. But he wants to convince you that he is a smart guy, that he is an intellect, that he has common sense in matters of very advanced science, epidemiology, things that are beyond common sense. You need wild, in-depth education and training on these matters. People dedicate their lives to becoming experts. And that's where we're going to begin. Donald Trump being asked about the American College of Obstetrics and Gynecologists. They put out a statement saying that acetaminophen remains a trusted, safe option for pain relief during pregnancy. And that's at odds with what you're saying right now. That's the question. And Donald Trump wants you to believe that he knows more, the guy who hasn't picked up a book and read a book since maybe junior high, maybe elementary school, that he knows more than the American College of Obstetrics and Gynecologists, that he knows more than the experts in this particular field. Donald Trump knows more than them. Watch this.
President, I was hoping that you could clear up confusion for moms and dads across America, many of whom voted for you. There's a statement that was put out by the American College of Obstetricians and Gynecologists, and in their statement, they write, acetaminophen remains a safe, trusted option for pain relief during pregnancy, and that's at odds with what you said and with what many of the experts say. How do you...
It's the establishment. That's the establishment. They're funded by lots of different groups. And you know what? Maybe they're right. I don't think they are, because I don't think the facts bear it out at all. They're fighting for something that, in my opinion, they shouldn't be fighting for. But here's the thing. There's no downside to doing, other than a mother will have to, as I say, tough it out a little bit. There's no downside to doing this. It's not like, oh...
That's just the jumping off point. Obviously, that is ridiculous. That is dangerous. And the reason it's dangerous is it's not for me. It's not for you, because you're not going to like, oh, shit, maybe Tylenol is bad. Maybe acetaminophen is bad. No. You're not going to do that. But the unwashed, the new MAGA mom, she might. People are going to be taking alternative cures, the ivermectin crowd, the hydroxychloroquine crowd, the injecting bleach crowd, the shining light up into their asshole crowd. The people who do believe Donald Trump is some kind of a dear leader who has special understanding and knowledge, they will be harmed by this. And it's all based on what Donald Trump feels. For all of the facts don't care about your fucking feelings crowd, they sure do worry about how Donald Trump feels about things. That American policy now in this country is based on the feeling. He's running off of vibes, y'all. Watch this.
I also, and we've already done this, we want no mercury in the vaccine. We want no aluminum in the vaccine. The MMR, I think, should be taken separately. This is based on what I feel, the mumps, measles, and all the three should be taken separately. And it seems to be that when you mix them, there could be a problem. So there's no downside in taking them separately. In fact, they think it's better, so let it be separate.
Based on what he feels, not off what he knows, not off what he's been taught, not off what he's learned. Because he doesn't learn. He isn't taught anything. Everything is about what he feels. But this man wants you to trust in his word when he doesn't even know. He cannot even pronounce the word that's written before him, acetaminophen. He quickly pivots to calling it Tylenol over and over and over, which I'm sure is going to garner a lawsuit from the company that makes Tylenol, because that's a brand name. That's not the scientific formulation of the medicine. But here he is, the guy who wants you to do what he feels. This is based on what I feel, but also he can't pronounce basic words that he should have at least brushed up on before the presser because he knew he was going to be talking about it.
See, Bobby wants to be very careful with what he says, and he should, but I'm not so careful with what I say. But you have certain groups, the Amish as an example, they have essentially no autism. First, effective immediately, the FDA will be notifying physicians that the use of well, let's see how we say that. Acetaminophen. Is that okay? Which is basically commonly known as Tylenol, during pregnancy can be associated with a very increased risk of autism. So taking Tylenol is not good. All right, I'll say it. It's not good.
I'm not so careful with what I say. Bobby wants to be really careful with what he says, but I'm not so careful. Aditacinamina, epiphenina, betacenabina. Man, I wish I was more careful with the things that I say. Somebody had to coach him from the peanut gallery how to say acetaminophen. The dumbest dumb fuck who ever dumb fucked. Donald Trump. Endangering the health and well-being of this country and its hundreds of millions of inhabitants, citizens, because of his feeling.
Just saying to Bobby and the group, let's do it now. Nothing bad can happen. It can only good happen. But with Tylenol, don't take it. Don't take it. And if you can't live, if your fever is so bad, you have to take one because there's no alternative to that. Sadly, first question, what can you take instead? It's actually, there's not an alternative to that. And as you know, other of the medicines are absolutely proven bad. I mean, they've been proven bad with the aspirins and the Advils and others, right? And they've been proven bad.
Yeah, hi. I'd like to leave a message for Jake Tapper. Yeah. Jake Tapper, who wrote the book about Joe Biden not being cognitively aware enough and sufficient to do the job as president of the United States. What's my message? My message is nothing bad can happen. It can only good happen. I think he'll know what I'm talking about.
It can only good happen.
Nothing bad can happen. That's right. It can only good happen. Yeah, paging Jake Tapper.
It can only good happen.
Let's end it with this. I could have added another one here. Let's end it with this. This is Donald Trump talking about how he feels, can't pronounce the name of the medication, but also too much liquid for babies. You know, the famously solid food eating babies. It's too much liquid for them. Oh, come on, man. Watch this.
No, you're going to have to go back another year later. You're going to go back each year for 4 years, 5 years, 3 years. Just break it up. Break it up. Because it's too much liquid. Too many different things are going into that baby at too big a number. The size of this thing, when you look at it, it's like 80 different vaccines and beyond vaccines, and 80.
It's too much liquid. Get that baby a porterhouse well done with some ketchup. That's what he needs. Too much liquid. What? This is the culmination of Donald Trump's feelings that he has. The guy who can't pronounce basic medicines. And look, I get it. Years ago, my daughter had hemophagocytic lymphohistiocytosis was the name of the disorder, the disease that she had when I had to move to Spokane, Washington and go through chemo with her or be there for her when she went through chemo. And sometimes medicines and diseases are hard to pronounce. That's a tough one. Hemophagocytic lymphohistiocytosis, right? It's a mouthful. But acetaminophen is not. It's not one of those. Donald Trump wants to be the smartest guy in the room when he is absolutely the dumbest guy in every single room he occupies, including the ones where his sons are present. We're in a tight spot because stupid people elected a stupid person to high office. It's been a long time, too long since I've said that. Maybe I need to bring it back. Maybe I need to put it on a mug. Stop electing stupid people to high office, starting with Donald Trump. We need to show up in numbers in the midterms to put an end to this, to allow proper investigations from Congress to take place, proper oversight from Congress to take place. We need both the House and the Senate in overwhelming numbers to put an end to this nonsense. Anyway, make sure you're subscribed to this channel. If you watch my content with any regularity at all, it is free to subscribe. Below the YouTube video, you can click subscribe. Make sure you're liking and following the Facebook page, Dollemore Daily, where these videos are posted natively over there. I would appreciate that very much. You can also have a conversation in the comments below this video, wherever you're watching it, and call the voicemail line, 714-576-4054. And of course, as always, you can email me daily@dollemore.com. If you want to help support this work, I would appreciate that very much. For $2 a month, you can become a channel member on YouTube. Click the join button below the video or just on my channel generally. Or the even better option, even if you choose to cancel your YouTube channel membership and go over to Patreon, is patreon.com/IDoubtIt podcast. I love and appreciate you, your dedication to free speech and the truth and the proper pronunciation of acetaminophen.
Well, it was cryptic, and it was really menacing. I would say, Sean, it immediately panicked my family and friends. Within, I would say, a couple of minutes of that being posted, I started to get text messages and phone calls, family, my kids saying, "Are you okay, Mom?"
Oof. These whiners and liars in the Trump administration are really trying to capitalize on the death of Charlie Kirk. Really trying to amp up the danger therein. Even innocuous things that are said on Twitter now are causing them and their families to go into panic mode. Oh, what's happening? We're so worried for you, Kristi Noem, because of a stupid, funny, satirical message on Twitter where Governor Gavin Newsom's press office account said, "Kristi Noem is going to have a bad day today. You're welcome, America." Kristi Noem is going to have a bad day today. And the reason, from a follow-up tweet, was new. California Governor Gavin Newsom just signed a law making California the first state in the nation to prohibit federal enforcement officers, including ICE, from hiding their identities. And this sent Kristi Noem into a, here's an opportunity. I can act like he was threatening my life, which is exactly what she did last night on Sean Hannity's show, where they commiserated about the violent left. They're still trying to make that a thing. They still are trying to act like they killed Charlie Kirk. The left killed Charlie Kirk, even though Department of Justice officials that I just talked about over the weekend have found no linkage whatsoever between a left-wing ideology, a left-wing movement, a left-wing organization, and the shooter. They're saying it was a really bad thing happened by one guy who didn't like Charlie Kirk. That's what the DOJ is saying, because there's no evidence of anything else. But Kristi Noem wants to capitalize on this moment. She wants to continue ratcheting up the fear that she is in danger because the California governor, Gavin Newsom, is making veiled, aggressive threats on Twitter about her bad day. Watch this absolute laughable nonsense from the Secretary of Homeland Security, who has a security detail at all times, unless she ditches them to hang out with Corey Lewandowski and have her purse stolen at crappy restaurants here in Washington, D.C. Yeah, watch this.
First, your reaction to bad day for you.
Well, it was cryptic, and it was really menacing. I would say, Sean, it immediately panicked my family and friends. Within, I would say, a couple of minutes of that being posted, I started to get text messages and phone calls, family, my kids saying, "Are you okay, Mom? Are you fine?" They know the threats that I've had. They know the threats that they've had, the things that have happened to them because of politicians like this that say things and somebody grabs onto them that has an agenda, the cartels and criminals that have threatened our family already. So when you get a post like that by a governor, immediately, my staff and family think, what is going on? What does he mean? And we're trying to figure it out. So, this is a day and age where we've always known that words matter, but there's been real consequences that we have realized that have happened to incredible people like Charlie that we'll have to live with forever. And I hope we all learn from that. I hope we all learn that it's time to start listening to each other, having civil discourse, and stop ridiculous, irresponsible posts like Governor Newsom put out there.
You heard it right. It was cryptic. And it was really menacing, this cryptic message that I've already read to you. Gonna have a bad day because her agents are no longer going to be able to be jackbooted, anonymous, masked, secret police in the streets of California. That's the bad day. Interesting, though, there's always a tweet. There's always something that shows they're liars and hypocrites. Because Donald Trump tweeted back in 2020, going to be a bad all caps day for Crazy Bernie, which was reposted by the same Gavin Newsom press conference, where they said, "We have zero tolerance for direct or implicit threats against government officials. We've referred this matter to Secret Service and requested a full threat assessment." Because Republicans want it both ways. They want to say that, what did she say? Bad day was cryptic and really menacing, and it immediately panicked my friends and family. Who believes that? I mean, other than MAGA, they believe anything that's crammed down their throats. Who believes that? That her family was panicked. Immediately panicked and worried. Her friends and family. Because of that stupid tweet that was clear what they were getting at. This is opportunism on the part, a ghoulish opportunity grab, clout chasing, attention seeking from Kristi Noem. Trying to capitalize on a tragedy of the man they claim to revere and love and want to deify as, I guess, having the left hand of the Father. Jesus got the right. Charlie Kirk's in the mix there somewhere too. Nobody's done more in the early 30s than Charlie Kirk, except for maybe Jesus. Charlie Kirk would have been the 13th disciple, said Troy Nels. They want to make that guy some kind of a martyr, a god, a man to be revered and worshiped and emulated, that God needs to raise up 10,000 Charlie Kirks. They're saying shit like that too. All of it's gross. All of it's gross.
Where he actually offered to fix the UN building, and instead they chose to go in another direction, wasted a bunch of money, and really didn't achieve, on the building's perspective, what needed to happen.
If Marco Rubio wasn't such a just vile ghoul, I'd feel bad for him. I would feel bad for the guy, because he put himself out there for decades as this noble stalwart of the Bible, tweeting out scriptures constantly and acting like he was a mighty righteous man of God, but also that he was principled, that he was an expert in foreign policy and an understander of high-level concepts, true to certain ideologies, that he's now just jettisoned, just tossed them off like they were too warm a coat in the summertime. And why did he do that? For power, for adjacency to power, to closeness to power, to get a little, the whiff of the grundle butter of Donald Trump. Apparently it is irresistible to the Rubios. Because he's going on the news right now, went on NBC, went on Fox News, and is absolutely just debasing himself, simping for Donald Trump. being the lappiest lapdog, just Donald Trump. Yeah, give me those cheeks. I'm going to start with this NBC clip because it really does lay bare the lack of integrity or dignity of our current Secretary of State, where he's being asked, look, Donald Trump said he was going to end the war in Ukraine. He said this numerous times, multiple times, dozens, if not hundreds of times. He's going to end the war. I'm not going to end it on day one, in the first week. 24 hours. He gave the number of hours the war would be ended. Here we are, 8 months in, war still going strong. Civilians still being murdered by Vladimir Putin. Pregnant women in maternity wards being bombed out, firebombed. The war's not over. And he's asked about this. And he says, well, that's not our fault that the war's not over. That wasn't the question. The question was about Donald Trump claiming he would do it. He's just a simp. Just a cowardly supplicant, prostrating himself. Spread eagle for Donald Trump. Do with me what you will, dear leader. Watch this from NBC yesterday.
To be fair, you are right. We're about 3 years into the war. The president repeatedly, though, did say that he would end the war in Ukraine on day one, and we are some 250 days into the administration. Let's talk U.S. and China here, Mr. Secretary. As you know, we are apparently.
Yeah, but that's not up to us to end the war. The Russians have to stop the war,
well, yes,
and the Ukrainians have to agree to a peace deal. What the president expresses that it would be a priority of his, and it has been. I don't think anyone could argue that it hasn't been a priority.
Yes, but again, repeatedly on the campaign trail, he said he would end it on day one. We're 246 days into the administration.
Well, I think, which is an indication that he repeatedly said that it would make it a priority. He certainly has done more than Biden ever did to end the war. Biden didn't even have a plan for the war.
Let's talk about the U.S. and China and the TikTok deal. That's important to a lot of folks, as you know, especially young people.
Yeah, but that's not up to us to end the war. Well, if that's true, Marco Rubio, and it's not up to you to end the war, then don't make the claim that you'll end the war in 24 hours. That was the basis of the question. If it's not up to you, it's not in your control, it's not under your power to do so, don't promise dozens, if not hundreds of times that you'll do so. Because that's what Donald Trump did. He lied. He lied. Well, what he was actually getting at, no. We don't need any more Trump explainers. We heard what he said. It was clear. It was concise. It was a promise. I will do this. One, the war would have never started had I been president, Donald Trump claimed. But now that it's started, I will grace the globe by ending that war in 24 hours. And because he can't do it, he's inventing a bunch of other conflicts that he's ended to beg for, to whine about not getting the Nobel Prize. You're not doing a good job, Marco Rubio. In fact, you're doing a shitty job. A terrible job. You're bad at your job, which I guess is self-evident. You're a Republican. It wasn't just NBC. It was also on Fox News. This was this morning, talking about a preview of what Donald Trump would be talking about at the UN. And they're dispatching the Secretary of State to go out there and deal with ancient grievances of Donald Trump and real estate deals and remodeling contracts that he didn't get, that he's still sore about. He's still beat up about it. His feelings are still hurt that he didn't get a certain contract, a business deal. Maybe you should have done a better bid, Donald Trump. Maybe you should have had a better reputation as not a grifter and a liar and bad at what you do. And you might have gotten the contract. But here's Marco Rubio running interference for Donald Trump's personal, decades-old grievances.
You can anticipate the president will point to his own history with the UN, going back to his time here as a developer, where he actually offered to fix the UN building. And instead, they chose to go in another direction, wasted a bunch of money, and really didn't achieve, on the building's perspective, what needed to happen. And I think it's emblematic of how feckless the UN has become as an organization. It's just a place where once a year a bunch of people meet and give speeches and write out a bunch of letters and statements, but not a lot of good, important action is happening. So again, the UN has a lot of potential, but it's not living up to it right now.
He actually offered to fix the UN as though he was doing charity for them. I'll tell you what I'll do. You look, out of the kindness of my own heart, I'll cover this. I'll fix this for you. And instead, Marco Rubio says, instead, they decided to go in a different direction, wasted a bunch of money. They decided to go in a different direction? You mean out of all the bids in a contract negotiation and who they're going to pick to do the work, they picked a different company. It wasn't a slight against Donald Trump. Nobody knows if that's true. It could be. I wouldn't do business with Donald Trump. I don't do business with Republicans. They wasted a bunch of money. It's emblematic of how feckless the United Nations has become. So they're feckless because they don't want to do business with Donald Trump, or they just simply chose a different contractor. They're feckless. This is the message that our chief diplomat, the Secretary of State, this is the tack he takes. This position has been held by lauded and historic statesmen and women. Thomas Jefferson was the Secretary of State. Now Marco Rubio. Oh, how we have fallen. Anyway, what do you think? I invite you to this conversation. I hope you're having a great one. You can comment below this video wherever you're watching it. You can also call the voicemail line, 714-576-4054. One more time, 714-576-4054. And you can email me the old-fashioned way, daily@dollemore.com. If you're not subscribed, it is free to subscribe. Click the subscribe button below this video. Go over to Facebook and click on the like and follow, whichever the option is. Not a Facebook expert or even casual user, but you know, we're figuring it out. And I would appreciate that very much. You can also, for $2 a month, help support this work, help produce this work. You can help me make these videos and reach the tens of millions of people that I do every month. You can click the join button below this video for $1.99, become a channel member, or even better, seriously, even better, go over to patreon.com/IDoubtItPodcast. I love and appreciate you very much. I will see you next time. Be genuine and take care of one another.